If fighting was a god, I would worship him. I would bow to him. I would pray for victory. For he only grants opportunities. But behind every god lurks a devil. And the devil wants me to take a dive. My name is Anatomic. And this is how my legend was made.
When footsteps fall in eldritch hollows, and spectres flee into the shadows, that is the time when horror's heroes abound, culling the ghouls that go bump in the night.
You're now entering the domain of paint and canvas. The only limits are those of the imagination. New possibilities will emerge with every brushstroke, and the paint thickens.
From the heart of Lovecraft Country and the birthplace of American religious liberty, my name is Shanth Enjeti. You are watching Shanth Enjeti Art. Welcome to the horror of painting. Let's do this thing. Guys, and gals, I have been planning this show and doing things for this show and trying to come up with ideas for this show for a while. And I just thought it would be a good time to sit down and go over some painting stuff, paint with you guys, show you guys what I do, how things work, and give you guys some information about painting because people are always asking me, and it's not going to be so much a start to finish painting demo, but I just think there's a lot of information out there that is not very helpful. And I think that in my career teaching, the information that I had, the things I go over, the goal is to get rid of the horror of painting, have a little bit of fun, have a little bit of excitement, as you can tell from the thumbnail, with a wink and a nod and some fun stuff happening here with monsters. It is spooky season beginning. I don't know if you guys can feel it, but let's talk about that. And I also have the supply list right there that I'm going to be using on the screen in honor of Bob Ross, but I also have it in the description. So if you're wondering what I use, by all means, go down there to check it out. But let's talk about who else we've got here, too, by the way. We also have the creature from the Black Lagoon hanging out in here. I thought this was Pizza Live. I just put a pizza in, but this is better. Hey, listen, pizza's good anytime. My man, Timmy Mello, that Cthulhu figurine is a beastly thing. It is. Yes, it is. And what's up, muralist? And hey, Tammy D, celebrating 24 months. Hold on a second. So, guys, for this show, and I just realized the opening title card doesn't match the thumbnail because I didn't update that yet. I did update the channel members' credits at the end of the stream, but I do have a new cheerleader video that fits into the horror of painting. And since we're celebrating 24 months of Tammy D, 2 years of Tammy D being a member, what better way to inaugurate the brand new cheerleader scene I have? See if you can tell from the silhouette who I think the suspect is in this thing. Here you go. Charge! There you go, my friends. Charge, and I hope everybody's having a great day. So here's what we're doing, guys. I don't know if you noticed at the top of the show, but I'm going to be playing a trailer adding into, and I had to remove some trailers because the campaigns are closed. So sorry, everybody. You can see my campaigns right up there for my comic books. If you like the paintings you see, that's Nosfero the Crypt Walker. That campaign is live, and it's going to be closing very, very soon. I just was actually working on the bonus features for it for the last couple of weeks, honestly. And then the other thing is, I've got SPRINGBALL, which is live as well, and that's got a little bit more time on it, but that campaign just took off like a rocket as well. So don't miss the opportunity to grab these campaigns and grab these comic books because they're very cool. Nosfero is a beautiful, fully painted book, and here is my reader copy hanging out here, which some of you guys picked up on the first go-around. You can get first printings of Nosfero, but you can also get the oxidized edition, which is going to have some killer bonus features showing what's going to be coming in issue 2. Or I should say book 2, because these really are books. They're meant to be kind of read individually, and yes, there's some continuity there with the characters, but each story is a self-contained adventure introducing you to the world. And so you've got that to look forward to, and then there's the art edition. So if you want the book with no words on it, then you can get that edition of the book and just see the paintings raw without any type on them. So let me see who I've got here. My God, I've got so many people here. What is up, Darth Gutierrez? It's good to see you. Hail, and good to catch you on your stream, Shanth. Well, it's good to see you, Darth Gutierrez. Tammy D, again, celebrating 24 months. Congratulations. Sir Lister of... I can't ever get it right. It's just the vowel layout there. I am so sorry. I'm going to call you Sir. And it is great to see you, my friend. How are you doing? Lloyd Burton, my man, my patron, it is good to see you, my friend. I hope you are doing well today. Past Master Dan finally has a Shanth Enjeti original. That's right. Oh, the cinnamon spice from here. Now I'm getting hungry. But not everything nice. You never know. Let's see what else. We got Timmy Mello, channel member, my brother, an artist. You're going to love this stream, Timmy. We're going to have a lot of stuff. Lord Hinson, Comic Skater, show it to us, Shanth. Yeah, absolutely. Muralist, it's good to see you. Alfonso Riley, it's great to see you as well. Let's see, David D in the house. Good to see you, David D, and Mo Biggs, of course. Let's see who else I've got here. Who am I missing? We got Michelle Bowers in the house. Good to see you, Michelle. Anybody else I am missing? Here, we've got Grim Jim 666. More art, more action, more see-through blouse. Yeah, that'll happen. That'll happen on these streams. Let me see here. What else am I missing? Anybody else? Oh, wait a second. We've also got the Story Collector here. It's good to see you, Story Collector. I hope you are doing well. And let me see. Anybody else? I think I've got most people. And then, of course, John comes rolling in. It's good to see you, John. And I think I have everybody. All right, so let's talk turkey, shall we? Woo! Sorry for any motion sickness that may have caused, but, you know, we got to do what we do here. So this is a painting I have been working on in my my so plentiful free time. But I've been working on this painting now for a little bit, and it's a painting of a character by Andy Smith, whose campaign is linked in the independent creators section of the description. Do go check it out for his character Lilith. And I had a lot of fun coming up with the idea for this painting. And what is up, Prater7? My God, it feels like it's been a long time, although I think I've seen you a few times recently, but man, it feels like it's been a long time. What's up, Krabby Patty? It's good. I promise I quit smoking. It's good to see you here. How are you doing, my friend? Inflated One, it's good to see you as well. I hope you are doing well. So I started working on this thing, and there's a couple of things. I promised you guys that I was going to give you guys, a pair of tips today that were going to help you. And that pair of tips is coming, and the first part of that pair of tips is using acrylic and trying, different kinds of media and understanding what the limitations of it are, but also understanding why it was so stressful for a lot of people to use, how I approach color, all of that kind of stuff. So here you go, guys. Of the pair of tips, the first one is really, really a basic one, but I want to make sure I say this over and over and over again. When you are using acrylics, if you are trying to learn how to paint with acrylics, do not use basics. Never use acrylic basics, because if you have a bad experience with acrylic basics, that's the experience you were meant to have. So that's a big aspect of this. It's a miserable experience using basic acrylics. I've tried using them before, and they have no coating power. They have no color. It's basically what acrylics were before acrylics became what they are today. And there's no reason for you to be using terrible acrylic paints, because you're not going to get good results. It's better for you to get 2 tubes of heavy body, 2 complementary colors, black and white of this, and you're going to be much, much better. Yes, of course, and that is, of course, always a tip I give people when you're painting. Make sure you get yourself a tube of Malin white as well. Very important, guys. Don't forget that. And I just got a package, funny enough, from of John's that was the Graveyard Shift collections as well today. So that was great, and had a fun time streaming with him the other day. So here's the other thing, and this is a big one, right? That goes with the heavy body acrylics. A lot of people get sucked in to using acrylics and then using matte medium or gloss medium and all of these things, and they're just adding complexity onto it. Here's the crazy thing that I wish someone had told me sooner, and maybe it had to do with the paints changing. I don't know what other way to say it. It could have been that way as well. But when you're using these paints, when you're using heavy body acrylics, you can use water as your medium. And people will go, but it breaks down, it hurts the bonding strength, the painting won't be archival. So behind me, you can see an acrylic painting of my wonderful Hang in There cat poster, the most extreme Hang in There cat poster you will ever see. What's up, channel member Zooligan? How are you doing, man? It's good to see you. And so you'll see that behind me. That painting was painted in, I think, 2000, let me just see, 17. 7 years old, looks just as bright as it was the day I painted it, and it holds together. If you are doing a lot of different medium and a lot of different stuff, maybe that's the case. But if you use the paints like I'm using them, I have got nothing but examples going back to 2009, I think, of paintings that I've done using this method. They hold together just fine. And when you're learning, even when I don't even want to reduce it down to that. But when you're painting, you don't need that. You don't need to be adding gloss medium, and all that stuff just makes the painting feel more plasticky and gross. And I want to show you what I mean by that. So here's a skull that I'm painting right now using heavy body acrylics, which you can see right there. Heavy body acrylics and water. I'm using something else, but I want to make sure that I show you guys this stuff first so you get a sense of what I'm talking about. So right here, you can see that I've put down a highlight right there in the eye socket. I want to show you guys how this works. Shanth, do you think 2017 Shanth was trying to give future Shanth a message with the Hang in There painting? Most certainly, but I was trying to give 2017 Shanth that message too. And I also wanted to paint just the craziest cat poster ever. It had to happen. I was pricing acrylics at Hobby Lobby, and most were reasonable. So here's what I'll tell people about acrylics. If you've painted with acrylics before, I can assure you that, and it was 20 years ago, or it was, more than that even in some cases, you haven't painted with what these acrylics are now. So make sure that you think about that when you're thinking about, well, how did it go? The other thing is, much like with swimming, it's better to have had no experience swimming than to have had a bad experience swimming when learning to swim. Because if you've had a bad experience swimming, then you're bringing something with you into the water that you are having to, mitigate and deal with at the same time you're trying to learn how to swim. It's the same thing with painting, which is why every time a bad painting teacher, and by the way, there are bad painting students, let me be clear, but every time a bad painting teacher who doesn't know how to teach painting gives canned advice and doesn't know how to explain how things actually work, like how to get a better painting from zero, it sets people back. Now, I had all of those experiences when I was in painting school, when I was in art school, I should say. So, again, don't use that as an excuse for why you can't do things. No one taught me this technique. I had to kind of, gain this from practice and trying a lot of different materials on my own. So I'm shaving you, or shaving you, shaving you. I'm shaving time and saving you time off of your learning process. That's really what it comes down to. And so when I'm working, I want to show you what this does. When you use the water as a medium, not only can you make the paint to a perfect viscosity to give it maximum coating strength, but you can also do something that is really going to give it a little bit of a glow to it. And that is you can lightly do glazes and washes over your paint so that the color starts coming through. And that's important. Something's in the water, get out, Jaws reference. Yeah. And let me say this. I got this recently. This right here is a fisherman's cap that Quint wore in Jaws. And I've wanted one of these for a long time. I was out on the Cape on vacation where that movie was filmed, and it was a great thing. And I just thought, I love Jaws, 50th anniversary, huge influence on me. So I said, by God, I'm getting a Quint hat, and then I've got my ET pin on the other side. Because I'm going to become one of those old guys. That's my plan. So here we go, guys. So that's another big thing. Now, one of the things that was really frustrating to me, and I know continues to be frustrating to a lot of students in art school, is golly gee, what is it? Shax, shut up and take my money. What is up, Shax? How are you doing, my friend? I hope you are well. Um, it is, it's a crazy part of it is that, there's certain things that you can't paint, you're not allowed to paint. And the biggest thing you're not allowed to paint is sexy and attractive women, pinup style art, fantasy art, science fiction art, horror art to some degree, but it's always got to be political. And for me, and for me, that is something that really hamstrings art school students. And it really hamstrings artists in general because you need to learn how the figure works and you can't be afraid of illustrating and never learn how to paint a figure. So what do? They have you look at a bunch of models that don't look anything. When I say don't look anything like this, I'm talking about you have models in your 70s where it's very hard to track the anatomy when you're in art school. And so what I like to do when I'm painting, and one of the things that my work, Nosfero, the Crypt Walker, and SPRINGBALL, and all of that stuff is about, is in a lot of sense, in a lot of ways, the liberation of my artwork from that world. And as I like to call it, when you're doing your work, when you're making your artwork, there's only two kinds of artwork. And fine artwork is not one of them. There's high art, which is to say art that, not art that's done, under certain circumstances, but there's high art and there's low art. And low art is artwork that is made to serve a function. Artwork, and I'm sorry to say, but like illustration, where my job is very, very simple. But you set out trying to make the most competent artwork you can, and when you're making artwork to serve a purpose, and it's not going to be transcendent, although you can never know, um, you sort of are starting with the idea of making low art. Now, high art is once artwork gets to a certain point that it's recognized as masterful and it has an impact on the culture, and that's not something you ever get to decide ahead of time. And so that's the thing that I think is the problem is everybody's going in there and trying to make artwork that is, too self-important by 1,000 times. And high art has helped people greet Art T-Bear when they see him. Yes, indeed. And much love to Art T-Bear, my man in Texas. I hope he's doing well. I think he lives in the exact same place. Well, actually, I don't want to. He lives near family. I'll say that much. And it's good to hear, man. It's good to hear. So yeah, check out Art's Black and White if you haven't yet. So here's the other aspect of working with these paints that I love. When you're putting these paints together, you can layer colors. So right there, I've got kind of a green, and then I'm washing over the green its complement, which is kind of a red, warm, earthy color. And that's going to allow for that kind of dynamics when it dries. And so when you see this over here, this is that right there. Big, big, big aspect of what I do. And so I want to paint beautiful things, and I want to paint creepy things, and I want to paint interesting things. And that's one of the things that I, went off to art school to learn how to do. That was the idea that I was going to learn. Sure, I was going to learn a lot of things, but I assumed I was going to learn, how to paint like a Renaissance painter or something, but I could figure out a way to turn that into comics. What I didn't know, and what I didn't fully appreciate, is how many things you are not allowed to teach, or I should say, that are not encouraged or people aren't hired for teaching in art school. And one of the things that hamstrung me big time as a professor and as, an artist was the fact the kind of artwork that I wanted to do was very much forbidden. And that's the stuff I'm going to be talking to you about and teaching you about on this channel and with this show, is how to paint things that they don't let you paint. Because I think that's the stuff that's really important. Oh, he lives right north of me, says Lord Hinson. That's awesome. Yeah, good stuff, man. Yeah, art is a masterful anchor. Timmy Mello says, there's always seems to be this taboo against the depiction of feminine figures in culture. In artistic expression, the feminine figure is the highest form of all expressions, essentially. Yes, it is. That's absolutely 100% of what it is. And what's up, Mr. Monkey Boy 1969? Now, here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about that. Is that things have become so twisted and so confused in terms of ideologically with all of that. The takeaway they try to convince you to take from that and the depiction of what you're seeing right here is that somebody, I am praying. Are you guys just watching to see if that post-it note comes off? I have a feeling it might. Um, but they're trying to, teach you basically the opposite of reality. They're trying to say that someone who puts the kind of time that you have to put into things in order to be able to paint a figure like this actually hates the subject matter, which is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. If someone is painting portraits of you, I'm not saying it's 100% of the time, they don't hate you. And if they're painting a lot of portraits of you and you don't know them, chances are you need to call the police. So just remember that. Just remember that. Uh-oh, Tammy's cracking herself up. What is she up to? What's Tammy doing? He was high when he painted things. That's right, he absolutely was. It's very likely. Tammy knows what I'm talking about. Oh, my Lord. I never understand why YouTube gets so upset about tits. Everyone has them. Yeah, well, I mean, that's easy enough. And just to be clear, I'm trying to give you guys a pair of tips you can use, okay? A nice pair of tips that you can use to help you in your work. So that other thing, I don't know what you're talking about. So when you're doing this kind of work, there's a few basic things you have to remember, and something that I would give is great advice for artists, right? Oh, I said it off the post-it note. Oh yeah, no doubt about it. The post-it note is hanging on for dear life. So maybe that's why you guys are here. I mean, maybe you guys are at home, going, hoping that thing comes off. But yeah, it's man, I tell you what, it is a little bit ridiculous. But then we've gotten very hung up on certain things and not very hung up on other things. And I'd like to think that we may come out of this at some point. We may come out of this at some point, but it's going to take a lot better, work and a lot better advocacy for the arts. And that's what you guys are doing when you back Nosfero, when you back SPRINGBALL, when you back the stuff I'm doing. When you guys are channel members like Tammy for 2 years, you guys make it possible for these things to happen. So what am I doing right now? I am using acrylic paints on a gray paper palette. That is also listed in the material section. Do not use a white palette. That's a big one. Don't use a white palette. And I may even save my other tips for the next time, because I'm already up to 2 at this point, but I knew I wouldn't last. So do not use a white paper palette. Why? Because you can't see white when you're mixing it. What's up, Art and Times? Jay Ryan, how are you doing, my friend? These are all things that would have been useful for me to know, but these are the colors that I'm using, and you can see which colors I'm using mostly by what you see. What you see here on the paper. So I use a paper palette, and I would say this, don't get complicated when you're starting out working. That's the big one. The other thing is don't use a lot of colors and keep it simple in terms of silhouette. So what you've got right here is a dark background where I have a nice highlight right in the center where the background gets lighter. Then I put a dark figure over top of that. And then I put an even lighter highlights into that figure, and that creates those silhouettes. That's what's making this whole thing work. And then, of course, once you get used to art, you start being able to have fun with it. Now, something I think is a big thing for artists who have, things that they want to do or ideas that they want to do is having technical skill and versatility with your technical skill enhances your ability to deliver a joke or communicate an idea. So if you haven't ever learned how to paint, you're going to have some trouble communicating ideas with your work. So let me see if I can do this here. Da-na-na-na-na. Let's see. All right, so the wings are not going to be blue, just to spell that out for you. There might be some blue highlights in there, but the goal for me was to lay that down as a ground because that helps to make the complementary colors work. So let me hit this real quick with a little bit of yellow ochre and a little bit of alizarin crimson that's mixed in there. And again, I'm just using water and heavy body acrylics, not water and any old acrylics. You do this with soft body acrylics, you aren't going to get anything. And soft body acrylics, to me, they're not something you need to fool with until you get much more proficient, because that stuff's all about glazing and doing layering and things like that. And most people need to just get after the painting and see how quickly they can make something that is readable to an audience. And it's got to be readable. So I came up with this idea of doing a pinup in the Frazetta-esque style that I love to paint in. It's a little Mobius, it's a little Frazetta, and it's a lot of oh god, I can't believe I've got his book right here. Basil Gogos. There's a lot of that happening. Yep. Art is communication. Yeah, no further thoughts lost. The point to be. Yes, exactly. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's a very copper color, and that copper color is yellow ochre mixed with alizarin crimson, and that is the fun part of this. Where is everybody? I see people saying hello to Hagelman, and I don't know where everybody is. Huh? I guess they're here. Hey Dan. Oh, I got it. You guys are referring to yourselves by your various call signs, we can call them. So that's a big aspect of this. But for me, when I was working on this painting, I want to do something for Andy Smith, because Andy Smith was the cover artist on my first professional work. It felt almost like, not to quote the Nosferatu 2024, although it's a great movie, it felt like Providence. And I wanted to do something with his character. Now, I love Halloween. I'm totally gonna knock this post-it note off, guys. It's gonna happen. I gotta be careful. But I was so excited to get to know him, and now that we're on Comicsgate Kings and we're doing all the various things that we're doing, it's been really great to get to know him as an artist, as a creator, and to have gotten to support and back his books. So right now, one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to bring my love of Halloween into what is a character that's perfect for that Halloween vibe, in much the same way Nosfero the Crypt Walker is. And so when I was looking at his character, what was fun about it was, as I said, well, she's got wings. Maybe I could promises. Shots. I know. And by the way, that's the name of a really great. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name. Jane Mansfield movie, Promises. Wow, that took me way too long to get to. I'm starting to worry, Lord Hinson. Lord Hinson, do you want to see? Lord Hinson, what did you get the oxidized edition? Is that one of the editions you got? Let me know. What's up, Admiral? How are you doing, man? Yes, this is Lilith. Yes, indeed. And then I'll finish the rest of my story. But let me know which version of it you got. It's time to tend to arthritis while you guys let me know. Oh, I see it now. There you go. See, look at this. You guys are figuring all this stuff out. You don't even need me here. Oh my gosh. Yes, sir. And art only. Excellent. So I want to show you some of the things I'm working on. So Oh God, guys, I am so excited about getting Nosfero out there to you guys, the second edition, because one of the reasons why it's been taking me a while is because I looked at the bonus features recently, and I was not feeling it. The bonus features were not as good as I wanted them to be. I wanted to add more to it, and Lord Hinson, I'm going to show you what that is, so you guys see what I mean. I wanted to address some of the things that the second Nosfero book is going to be dealing with. So hang on. Dang arm. Coca-Cola, red, white, and you. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. Um, book 2. This is going to be in the Oxidized Edition bonus section. Book 2 really starts to deep dive into the character of Greylock. And if you have book 1, you know how he got the name Greylock. I'm not going to spoil it here, but it's one of my absolute favorite things in the world. Is that relationship between Nosfero and his adoptive werewolf father, Greylock. Just a um, really cool thing. Um, and it's just a very touching story moment for me. I'm sure I've talked about it before, but we'll keep it away. Then there's illustrations like this one. This illustration shows the golem, that's how small he is, fighting off the Thulu-like creatures to prevent them from coming into a gate to our world from the outer world that's left open by the villain of this piece. I want you guys to grasp the scope of Nosfero. Death will die. Springball is getting crazy. I keep looking at Springball. Whenever I take a break to write it, I'm mainly focused on Nosfero right now because I do everything, in stages. It's that's just the way it is. Um, and when I'm working on Nosfero and Springball, I'm always going. I go and I look at Evil Dead when I'm working on Springball, and I go, this needs to be crazier. I need more insanity in this. And when I look at Nosfero, I need more scope. I need more mythic scope, right? So here's your sneak peek. I don't know if I can show this one. Hang on a second. Yeesh. Might be able to. I don't know. Well, I'll just do a quick view of it. So here is that's a another page. We'll leave it there. Now, are you guys ready for this? I don't know if you guys have seen this before. Now, I'm working in opaque watercolors and gouache and pen when you're seeing this stuff. For those of you guys at home who are trying to get to the point where you start thinking about painting is not some terrifying, scary thing, but something that you can do. I've got the supplies down there, and I'm going to keep explaining it. So here is the blacksmith working on oh, thank you, man. That's high praise, Headless Bourgeoisie, and it's good to see you, my friend, and thank you for being a channel member. And so here it is. Here's Der Golem, my version of the Golem. Check this out. There he is, keeping evil at bay in the gate. There he is, using his shield. All of this stuff is going to be, these are all the bonus pages that you're going to be getting when you get this. And by the way, I love that Aha music video. Do you know, you can never hit me with something random I can't tie back into what we do here. Did you know the director of the Aha movie, Aha music video that's animated in a comic book, that he was a director of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie in 1990. It's true. It's true. So there you go. And so now here's the one I'm really excited about. So this is your first really, thank you, Timmy Mello, and thank you, Lord Hinson. I really do appreciate it. You guys are the best. Let me see here. Yeah, oh man, you guys are great. Oh, this thing is gonna be nuts. It's gonna be nuts. Hey, Take on Me, name of the song. Yes, Take on Me is the name of the song. And he, the director of that, directed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990. There you go. And so there you have it. So we've got this, and now here you go. Here is a look at our baddie. There are the doors that have been left open, and there's the symbol on the doors. There are all of the witches and creatures. If this isn't going to be exciting for you guys to get, and it's perfect, I'm ready to go. I want to get this damn thing done so I can get it to you guys in time for Halloween. That's the plan. There's the castle. right there that he lives in that's inspired by a sculpture of my son's when he was little. That kid is wild. He's an engineer student now, but he is just a machine of creativity. Very, very proud of him. Let's see here. And then you've seen this one. So these are some of the pages that did not exist that I wanted to make happen. You know, that's the stuff. Yes, Steve Barron, that's the name of the director. You've got it, Chad. Yes, indeed. Yeah, man, Steve Barron is an incredible director. They should have had him back for the sequel because that first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was lightning in a bottle. The way he lit those, the way he shot it under cranked. You know, I think it was 23 frames per second so that the animatronics would move more fluidly. He was very, very smart in what he did. So this right here is what it's about for me. This is the stuff that I wanted to make sure existed so that when you guys got the bonus features, you guys are getting a really nice look behind the curtain and getting the first time. This is, in a sense, this is not their first story, but it's the first appearance of some characters who are going to be, you know, milestones in the Nosfero mythos in terms of its expansion and in terms of how people start to really understand the world I'm trying to create here, which I should say, the feel I'm trying to create here. That's what it comes down to, right? And it's the same thing that I'm doing. I don't know if I can even show these to you guys yet because I don't have enough sticky notes to cover it. But I've got some killer stuff planned for you guys. All happening in sequence, though. You know, one foot in front of the other. Nosfero goes first. Got to get that one out because I'm dying for you guys to get those copies. And that it's Springball and painting. It's going to be so fun. Glad I backed the oxidized and art-only editions. Yeah, the art-only is going to have totally different bonus features, which is another part of the whole experience. But man, that oxidized edition has a new cover, which I never even thought I was going to do. But you guys make this stuff happen. And so when you guys come in here, all of you channel members, I see a Headless Bourgeoisie, by the way, you channel members. I mean, I'm reading it, but I hope I pointed that out. Tammy D, celebrating 2 years as a member. When you guys see your names, Admiral Wackass celebrating 5,000 years as a member, I think. Timmy Mello also celebrating 5,000 years. Lord Hinson Comic Skater, newly minted OG as far as I'm concerned. All of you guys are keeping this thing going. All of you guys make it possible for me to do the things I do. When you send super chats, it pays for brushes. It pays for paints. But more importantly, it pays for a view of what's possible when it comes to making artwork that is all but silent everywhere else. And that's so important. You know, that is so important because yes, the crescent is a 100% important symbol there. Again, that's think the bull, think the moon, think the changing of phases. All of that stuff is tied, and that character is very tied to my werewolf character. So you can paint the things that the art world and the art community says you shouldn't paint because there's actually an audience for it. In fact, it's the only thing there's ever really been an audience for. The rest of what you see out there is art, and what everybody is typically pushing are things that nobody wants to actually see. It wouldn't exist if funds were not being allocated without your permission to support the stuff. And I actually think that it's time we got back to doing what we're doing here in Comicsgate, what I'm doing here on this channel, which is getting back to making artwork to entertain people, to inspire people, and artwork that are things that people want to see. And so I'm painting things, and I'm painting this because this is a subject matter that I can paint here, and this is the stuff I want to see. You know, this is the stuff that I think should exist. And it's a shame it doesn't. Oh my God, I knew it. Oh my gosh. Admiral Wackass celebrates 34 months of membership. 5,000, close enough. I gotta take a knee on some of these. All right, guys, try to figure out who the silhouette is or who it might be. We don't know for sure who it is, but this is the new horror of painting. Cheerleaders, here you go.
Charge!
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It could be anybody. And Big Tim, Timmy Mello, every time I see you, I don't know why. But I know you know where I'm going with this. Because I've had some really cool friends named Tim, by the way. But the one I really think about is, of course, Timmy from Jurassic Park. And so I'm always like, Big Tim, the piece of human toast. And it always makes me laugh. I don't know why, man. But Timmy, much love. 33, my favorite number, by the way. That's how many pages there are in Nosfero. I have a thing with the number 33 and 333. Do not ask me why. It's very complicated and strange. But here's a cheerleader for you, my friend. I don't know who the silhouette is. Okay? I don't know. Maybe you guys will figure it out. Maybe you guys will figure it out. I don't know.
Charge!
Yeah, man. Everything we do on this channel, I try to keep it exactly. Dan Rossless. You're absolutely right. And where's my brother Dan from Michigan? So yeah, so when I was using acrylics in school, acrylics were like painting with plastic. When I was trying to paint things like this, and I'll never forget this, I had a rather famous and super woke, super PC comic book artist as my teacher in college. I waited my entire time I was there to take the comic book class. And it was almost, the best way to describe it was like an anti-education. And here was the craziest part. He told us to illustrate a story based on someone we knew. So I chose my sister-in-law, and I was, yeah, there is magic in threes, they say. I believe it. And so I chose my sister-in-law, who I knew and had this whole little shtick that she did. And I illustrated her. And I'll never forget, I came in, and before they even talked about the artwork and the drawing, and I took photo reference, I like did all this work to try to make it fun. I made her a superhero. It was so cool. The first thing he said is, the main character in this is female. So I'd just like to ask the ladies in this class, if they think he has a right. This was in 1998, guys. This is how long this stuff has been going on. If he has a right to tell a story about this person. It's so twisted to me, and that was not the only instance with this teacher giving me a hard time about trying to do any work. And I do not know what his deal was, but it was that crazy. Yeah, Krabby Patty, let's hope there are better years coming, because this has been going on for a long time. And so if you don't think of, yes, exactly. I know. I wish, right? If you don't think that has an effect on an art school student, when you're going to take these classes, you're looking for your mentors, and your mentors are pushing some, like, and not to mention they're using your classmates. You know, they like say, all the women in the class, let's take a vote what kind of artwork Shanth gets to make. That does not sound like democracy, and that does not sound like liberty. What is up, Leg Kick One? My God, how are you doing, brother? That is the world of art education as it stands right now. That is 100% the world of art education as it stands right now. What art do you have a right to do by some teacher who very likely can't even paint, can't even draw, has no skills? They're just a, living mass of politics. It's like politics crammed into a human form. And politics are the antithesis of art. And that's why you know that's the case, is because their favorite thing to say is all art is political. No, 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 my friends, no. All art is aesthetic. All art is visually pleasing. That is what art is. Politics is anesthetic. It puts you to sleep. Saying you don't have a right to tell a story about others is actually telling you that you don't have a right to tell stories, which is absolutely true. But just remember this. Yeah, they are teaching that type of stuff in nursery school. We're not. We're absolutely not. There's a huge, and that's why I always say give nihilism no quarter. Listen, I've spent half a century on this planet. What's up, Seeker of the Moon? I've spent a little bit of time on this planet. And the thing I will say is that I think that the pendulum is swinging, but more importantly, I have the ability to paint for you guys and make artwork for you guys right now. You guys have the ability to support me by backing books, by becoming channel members. Thank you, channel members. Again, all of you guys celebrating those big anniversaries. That's why I put your names, if you're a channel member, in the credit. That is why I always say thank you to all of my backers in the back of my book. It always says thank you, this person, and thank you to all of my backers. Because when we're doing this stuff, I have the ability to make the kind of artwork I want to make, and I get to do this stuff. If we don't have this, we're in trouble. Yes, Marxists do hate beauty. They hate kids, apparently, too, but that's a whole nother story. Let me see what else I've got. Where is he? He's changed his thing, so I can't even tell anymore. My brother, living La Vida Loca. Rocky, tell them what you got sent as a text. Something definitely changed in the 90s. The political bent in college became noticeable from just a few years earlier. You're absolutely right. So I started teaching in 2003, and it wasn't even that changed then. I mean, when I was a student there, yeah, in the 90s, as I said. But someone like me, although maybe that's an illusion because they kept me part-time at that particular college I was at. But I don't know. It's tough to say. But yeah, it fell off a cliff from 2003 when I started to 2013 and 2012. But 2015 is where it really went crazy. Yeah, the long march through institutions. Yeah. And this is how we push back. When you back Nosfero, when you back Springball, when you back any of the books that I've got, up here, and when you guys send super chats and all that stuff, this is what I want to do. I want to show people things. I want to give people a bird's eye view of what it's like when I do my painted work. So if you're like me and you're growing up, in the middle of the country and you're trying to figure out how to do this stuff, you know that there are people out there who know how to do this stuff, enjoy doing this work, and that, by the way, there is money in creating artwork that is beautiful and evocative and interesting, sexy and scary in the pulp tradition. That's the stuff that's exciting. That's the stuff that I want to buy, and that's the stuff that I'm interested in. And if you want to see an absolute masterclass in pulp, look at this stuff. Wait, what does it say? Hold on a second. Did he say anything? Hey, join. Where is it? My brother living La Vida Loca. So yeah. So this is the funny thing. So I sent I can't even get into the story because it's so ridiculous and embarrassing. But when I'll get into it. When I had just graduated from school, I flew out to see my two brothers, Rocky and Arvin, because I wanted to go and drive down the coast of California, or I should say not the coast, inner parts of California, to drop off the comic book that I had started drawing and laying out, Springball. That's how far back the Springball thing goes, at Image Comics, and see if I could talk to an editor there. We drove all the way down from San Francisco to Anaheim at that point, where Image was, on Catella, and I dropped off Springball. And I could even see Jim Valentino walking in the background. And I was like, is there any way I could show it? And they were like, no. Dropped it off. That was it. That was the story. And it was so, it was frustrating, but it was like more frustration was to come. Then I self-published it and all of that other stuff. And it's just so difficult during that time to get things out there. But when people go, well, did you ever show Springball to anybody? I mean, I feel like, I'm like, yes, I showed it to every single person, and there was not a lot you could do. So I went down there, and I went to go show my work, and then we decided to go to the Magic Kingdom after that, and go and check out Disney. And it was so funny because, for whatever reason, Livin' La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin was big on the radio at that point. And so every time we went on a ride, we would just scream that whenever it got going fast, like total lunatics. And so dumb. And so we were just screaming that. And these people who are probably our age, these two women who are probably the age we are now, think about that for a second, dude. Oh God, it's scary. It's funny at the same time. They were like, "You guys are so fun. We want to go on every ride with you." It was hilarious because we were just being silly and laughing and being dumbasses. And but it was just us cracking each other up. And so I sent Rock a text the other day, and it just said, "Still?" ? And when he didn't respond, because I don't let jokes go, I sent him another text with a question mark. He's like, "What the heck are you talking about?" And then I sent him the Ricky Martin Livin' La Vida Loca music video, because I wanted to know if my man Rock was still living La Vida Loca, and he is. Oh my God, yes. Rocky Ballesteros with a $1.99 super chat saying, "Livin' La Vida Loca for life." You know it's true. You know it's true. We don't know who the murderer is. We just know the horror of painting. It could be anybody. Look at the silhouette for clues. Hail, my brother. I will put that to brushes, my friend. We got 90 people watching between X and YouTube. Thank you guys for being here. Make sure you hit the like if you have not yet. Let's get that number moving so we can, try to survive the algorithm and all of its hijinks, all of its juvenile antics, as we like to say, and get this stuff to happen. So yeah, when I'm working on my artwork and I'm working on this is what I wanted to know how to paint when I came off to art school. And here's the crazy part. Yeah, this is around when I started middle school. Oh my God, you guys are breaking my heart. Why would you write that? So this is for me, right? The thing for me about all of this stuff is that if you allow people to paint what they want to paint and teach them, and by the way, I'm gonna knock this thing off at some point. You guys are making it happen. And think about it. Maybe those two middle-aged guys were hitting on us. No, they were women, dude. But if they were, either way, they were hitting on us. Know that. Know that. But if you teach people how to improve and get better, and you're very, very direct with the critiques, which that's another problem going on in education now. Students do not know how to, or a lot of students are taught that they can't take critiques, and they're raised to not be able to take critiques. And how do you improve somebody? My mentor let me have it about my work. He was just from the word go, but it was because he saw potential. So when I look at somebody's work and I tell them, yeah, you need to stop drawing in that particular style. I'll give you a perfect example. The same teacher I was talking about who hated American superheroes because he thought all the artwork was derivative and all of that stuff in true proto-woke fashion, might I add, would not say one word to this Asian female student who was doing, I'm going to start calling it what it is. Let's cover this right now. It's not manga art. We got to stop calling it manga art. Manga art is something completely different. It's otaku art. It's fan art. That's what it is. Nothing wrong with fan art. But when fan art is really, really good, it elevates itself. That's a different thing. What I'm talking about is what we all know, what we used to call Disney artists in art school for a while. Manga artists. It's Disney fans and it's otaku fans. Great, quote, Disney artists, people like Mary Blair, people like Tyrus Wong, people who did production design there, are not what we're talking about. It's otaku art. No, it is, yeah. And so here's the thing. If you think that manga is big eyes, it's the same thing as the Cal art style, I'm sorry to say. It's the exact same thing as that stuff. If you could paint a realistic figure, I'm totally going to knock this off of here. If you could paint a realistic figure, would you be drawing this way? And here's another one. And what would your manga look like, or what would your comic art, let's just call it what it is, look like at that point? And then here's the other factor for that I think is really important to bear in mind. If when you think about doing your work, you picture someone else's artwork or other artwork as your main source of inspiration or someone else's style, then that's not your style. What I'm picturing in my head right now as I paint these wings are what I know bat wings to look like from photo reference and from study. Do you guys know what I mean? And I see so many people who are doing work and stories. If she's got spaghetti names, leave the post-it note. I will, Flady. I promise. Super chats help post it to go away. Yes, exactly. Let me see. Oh, help post. No, they don't. Come on. The soft-rounded kid-like proportion art. Yes, but here's the bigger thing. Animation and great cartooning is an incredible skill, and that style pretends to sort of be that, but it really is just wannabe Miyazaki scream mouth and anime manga scream mouth, but without any kind of understanding of what's underlying it. And so you have to really know how to draw before you can cartoon well, or you have to have a God-given gift for cartooning. Let me add that to the mix, because cartooning is a God-given talent, and some people have it, but you can learn to do it as well. And Hergé was a masterful artist. And even he would say he wasn't a great cartoonist because it was so labored. But his stuff on Tantan is incredible. It's a high watermark. Hayao Miyazaki is a brilliant artist. But let's call it what it is. If we're going to call everybody who does, Marvel characters and DC characters and all of that kind of stuff, if we're going to call that, fan art, right? Let's call it what it is. It's otaku art, and that doesn't matter whether it's published, whether it's paid for. It is manga when you see it, and I think that it's just a weird stylistic convention people use, like the Cal Art style, to hide the fact that they can't draw or paint, and that's not something that I'm interested in encouraging. Shanth, oh sorry, did it correct you? Sean is picturing his own bat wings. Yes, exactly. I 100% am, and Timmy Miller is what I'm talking about. Let me see. What's up, Mikey Getz? How you doing? I hope you are well. Let's see. Yeah, cartooning is the hardest discipline of them all. It is. So, guys, if you want to get an example, because I promised I was going to take this horror of painting thing as seriously as I could. All right, let me see what I have here. Let me see. Gotta tip my glasses down so I can see what I'm looking for. Nope. It's probably down there. But let me see. Okay, let's do this, guys. This is what it was like when I was in art school, or when I was teaching in art school. So this is what you no longer get. And that's good for me because I'm not interested in being policed by people with high school diplomas. This is what it's like. I'm going to grab a book. Come with me. Let me see. That book. No. The amount of books I have here are crazy. Let me see. Gotta move RoboCop here. Hello, folks. Let me see here. Move RoboCop. This. And RoboCop wants to jump. And everything's falling down. Oh, the joy. Alright, so I got that. And now, oh, of course, it's going to be back there. I can't grab that one. I better grab this one. All right. Here we go. Ah! Down goes Frasier. Yeah, you're going to hear it. Less funny when we can see Shanth. Yes, exactly. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I better keep that post-it note in place. I'm going to move this over for a second so we can talk about this real quickly and what people with skills are like. All right? Let's take a look at people with skills. Whoa. See here if I... Sorry for any motion sickness you may have as a result of these camera turns, but, the Hergé Museum. This is the catalog, I don't know from what year, many years ago, that shows Hergé's development as an artist and shows you his ligne claire or clean line style. And this is incredibly complicated and incredibly brilliant. But this is the labor, the work of making comics with accurate locations, great cartooning, and that necessary bit of verve that makes comics happen. This is where the work is done. This cat could really draw. And the biggest problem I have with Tintin right now is it's reproduced on bright white glossy paper and it was made to be printed on newsprint. You can get facsimile editions of Tintin that are printed on the off-white newspaper. It completely changes the color. You've got to see them at that scale or else they don't look good. So there you go. And then this is some of his early work where he's trying to work out the whole art thing, which is really important to do, really important to study and learn. And he's trying to get work as an illustrator. And this is how his early comic book stuff went. This is the crazy thing, right? Draft posters, advertising, gouache on drawing paper. Have you ever seen Hergé's work? Have you ever seen this? Take a look at this. I bet you didn't think the guy who drew Tintin actually knew a few things about painting, but that's what you have to do. That's what skill looks like. And even design. Look at some of this stuff. Do you see what I mean? And so that's the big problem that we have here when we're looking at this. We're looking at 5th or 6th or 20th generation artists. And by the time you get to where they start figuring out their cartooning, it takes years and years and years to get yourself to that level of quality. But you've got to put the time in, the discipline. You got to learn how to draw. You see what I mean? Yeah, and cross training absolutely does work. But you've got to put the time in. And that's what's missing. And here are the beautiful colors, and you can see those done on the off-white paper. But he was doing stuff that was just, look at how sick this drawing is, how great it is. Look at the detail. This is where Jeff Darrow got his stuff from, or his, I mean, he says this as much, but Jeff Darrow is a big proponent of the Linclair style, obviously Mobius as well. But that's the stuff that made it work. And that's the stuff that made it great. And this is not where you stop when you're making your artwork. You want to put your artwork and make it go as far as you can get it to go. And there's so much brilliant work here. And then you see Hergé's painted covers, which auction for a fortune. This is one of his paintings. Look at this. Yes, happy Jack Kirby Day indeed, man. That guy was exactly what I'm talking about. And a legend. There's no getting around that. So yeah, this is what I want to see people able to do. And when you're teaching people, the only things you can really teach people how to do is to paint things accurately. So now let's look at a quote actual Disney artist, not a Disney fan artist. Big difference. This is Mark Davis, who Rocky's never heard of before. If you Rocky, I don't know if you would even know what this is. Mark Davis, Walt Disney's Renaissance man. Here you go. Let's take a look at Mark's career. These are some of Mark's paintings. Mark was an animator. So Mark, here's some of his student work. Mark Davis's student work right here when he was in college. Guys, I can only do so much, you know? Like, it's like you can scream this stuff all day. Anatomical studies right here by Mark Davis with weight on them when he was working as an animator. He was teaching classes. These are photos of the blackboards that they would take when he was done teaching weight and mass. I want you guys to think about this. When people say, why is art in the state it's in? And I'm not talking about Art T-Bear. He's in a great state. He's doing well. But when people are talking about why is art in the state it is, because someone who wants to show these books like me is not supported in a college environment. And that is a shame. That's an absolute shame, but that's fine. I will not go down with that ship, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Damn the torpedoes. But this is the thing that you should be learning about and understanding. If your teachers can't draw and they can only talk politics, and let's be clear, what makes me sad is that politics are often a cover for not knowing how to draw and paint by these people. You know what I'm talking about. You know the people I'm talking about. This is not happening. Their teachers can't do this. And if you look at the stuff I do, and you've been on this channel for a while, you know I can cartoon. Show me the teacher, and they'll be working as a professional too, by the way, I'm sure. There'll be people be kicking their doors down. But show me the teacher who can do these drawings right here. These are Mark Davis lion drawings. He's a Disney animator. Look at this. You know, it's so true, right? You never would have thought. I remember when people said, those who can do, those who can't teach. And now I'm like thinking to myself, those who can't teach, right? It's gotten to that point to where that expression has gotten, like, they can't even teach, guys. Like, if you can't do, you can't teach. I don't understand the difference in terms of, I don't understand why people think if you can't do a thing, you can teach it. It's like, that's what the insult meant, and it's a rightfully so. Look at these on animation paper. These are his studies of various animals. Look at how good this stuff is. Mikey Getz says, there will always be great artists out there, but Marvel and DC are running comics are opportunities. Yeah, well, and they want to keep them out, because do you really want to be around someone who outshines you? Here's the thing I like about Comicsgate. Someone like me who doesn't know anybody can come into Comicsgate with good work, hard work, and a nice, resume of working my ass off and working in the industry and doing all that stuff, sure. But where the rubber meets the road in terms of streaming and producing books, which is important, I can get a fair shake. That can't say it any fairer than that. I didn't get that fair shake a lot of places where they pride themselves on saying they're all about the fair shake. Look at this dude. Here's what's scary. It's bad enough when people don't want you to be talking about your own work, because it hurts their ego. But when they don't want you showing books, that all you can do is show better examples. When I show this, it's not about my ego, it's about excellence. And excellence doesn't give a damn about my ego. Do you know what I mean? Excellence doesn't give a damn about your ego or mine. Yeah. It's get out of here, man. Look at this stuff. This dude was a heavy hitter. This should be what people are striving for. Instead, they're talking about how in your portfolio to get into art school, well, as long as 30% of it is your work, you can use AI as a base. As a base. Why don't you just let the AI go to college there? Look at this. Horses, by God. So people want me to believe that things like this shouldn't be taught. Look at this stuff, guys. How weight distributes when you bend over to touch your toes. Your hips go back. Yep. 100% on that, and you could put any modifier on that. I'm like, Michelangelo was a artist of Christian work. I don't know how Christian he was, but you can go down a list of people. Jake Weidman is a Christian artist. His work is incredible, but I've met a lot of Christian artists, a lot of people who love Disney, who love science fiction, love fantasy, who cannot draw. Look at the skeletal and musculature work there. Yeah, seriously. Well, you know what's sad? It won't, but it will. It'll replace colleges, but that's because colleges have already replaced education with politics. Look at this stuff, guys. How the arm works. Look at these walk cycles of lions, dogs, horses. Now he's probably looking at Muybridge. He's definitely studying Muybridge on these. If you don't know who Muybridge is, you can look that up. But it's just sick. Look at this is one of my favorite things in the world. Look at how a deer's center of gravity shifts when it gets up. How great is that? Isn't this incredible? It's all there. The first thing I did when I became a full-time professor, and it's heartbreaking to think of now, but then I always think God has a plan. It's not my business. And that's what you're seeing, by the way, in here. I started turning this into my classroom so that you guys could come here and you guys could see what it's like in my classroom, in my studio space where I work. This is exactly what my classrooms were ideally going to look like and mostly looked like when I was teaching, right? So now let me move this and we'll rotate this back. There we go. So I repainted a metal bookshelf that was in the wall at the college I was teaching at, and then bought out of my own pocket copies of books like these to put out on the shelves for students to come in there and study and work. How crazy is that? There was a copy of this book there that students they could never take any of the books out of the classroom, but they were allowed to go in there at any time of night and study. And then they gave that classroom away and moved me out of it once I made it nice to the worst teacher in the college. Incredible, isn't it? Or the two worst teachers in the college. That's how it works. Look at this stuff. Isn't that incredible? And then look, he's also doing this stuff. Oh yeah, I kept those books. Are you kidding? Yeah. We went up there, and when we got all my stuff out, we were like, peace. The sofa you see right there is a sofa that I bought for my office. Like, I was like, nope. That's not how it works. Now let's talk about history. Clean up animation drawings, because you got to start somewhere, and you got to do things that people who know more. I will tell you this. It was one of each, but it doesn't matter. They had the same pair of glasses and the same haircut, as it always goes. Let's see here. I can finally say I've taken a college course. Mom will be so proud. Yeah, you are. You're getting better than a college course. Don't make your mom upset by saying you got a college course. You got a SHANTH course. Those are better. Yeah, quality is punished and mediocrity is rewarded, I guess. Yeah, that's why I like being here. That's what I like about it. This is some astoundingly good stuff. Do you know what I mean? Brilliant. When you come up with a design that's as simple as this, it's as if it always should have existed this way. And that is what happened. You see what I mean? That is what happened when you're doing Cinderella. This Cinderella dress, right? We used to actually give girls dreams like this to have. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. Yeah, they're great. Once you get rid of drawing, once you get rid of painting, once you get rid of skill, all of this goes out the window. You know, all of this goes out the window. Look at this. Breathtaking stuff. Nobody appreciates how well these people draw. So I'm going to skip. I know this is hard, but I'm going to skip past the animation stuff because it's just going to break everybody's heart. You know who's really good at girls, by the way, drawing girls, Mikey, is Freddie Moore. Fred Moore is a huge inspiration whenever I'm drawing cartooning women. He was Chris Sanders' biggest influence. He also did design sketches and work for one of my favorite movies of all time, the live-action 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I was just watching that the other day. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is awesome. Awesome. Harper Goff, who's another artist I could talk about all day, who designed the Nautilus, did a lot of the production sketches, was a genius. Here's where we get into some sick stuff. Are you guys ready to be sickened? Are you ready to be sickened? We got 98 people watching. I want you guys to be sick. Sickened by this artwork. It's so good. But also inspired. By the way, don't ever around these parts, ever, if you're a young artist, say, oh man, I hate that person. They're so good. Don't ever say that around me. I will pounce on that like a freaking panther. Like a falcon with a horsewhip clutched in its talons. I will pounce on that because that is such a weak thing to say. Take the L. Say that person is so good and acknowledge they are so much better than you. When you say you hate them, you may think that's the subtext, but it's actually the text. It's the truth. That's like the core of Marxism, is saying that phrase, even if you're saying it jokingly. Oh my God, you're so good, I hate you. Think about that. Oh, you're so pretty, I hate you. It's the truth. It's not a joke. People like to pretend it's a joke. But it's not a joke. So stop. Call it out when you see it. Don't call out, because call out so stupid. Confront it when you see it. Just go, Just say, hey, don't hate them just because they're better than you. Get over it. You know? Here's how sick this man is. He is one of the lead forces behind Imagineering 3 of the biggest rides at Disney World, which I'm sure they'll bulldoze soon. The Jungle Cruise. He actually went on trips and research trips to get ideas for this ride, contrary to popular opinion. Look at these studies for the designs. They are freaking sublime. Here is the sketches for how the animatronics would work. More stuff that probably turned into the Enchanted Tiki Room, or It's a Small World for all I know. Now, remember when you're looking at this stuff. What's up, Linz? How you doing? It's good to see you. Remember when you're looking at this stuff, the lie they tell you, which is, yeah, I mean, he was successful as an artist, but what was his wife doing? She was probably a stay-at-home mom who was miserable in her married life and life with children and all that stuff. We'll get to that. We'll get to that BS in a second. But this is the stuff he did for the Rivers of America and the train that goes around Disneyland that was exploring America. Hopefully, if they get there, have their druthers, they'll bulldoze all this stuff into the ground because that's what they love to do. But look at what an amazing artist this dude was. Look at how great his stuff was and is. It still holds up. Look at this work, for God's sake. I feel like I'm like Bluto in Animal House. Forget it, he's rolling. This right here, Carousel of Progress. Pirates of the Caribbean ride. If you've ever been on that ride, as they butcher it slowly, bit by bit, you have had the pleasure of being in the presence of Mark Davis's incredible artwork. If you can't draw this well, and almost nobody I know can draw this well and is this versatile, this is how good this dude was, right? And you're not that inventive. A lot of people can draw really cool styles. That's not what this is. This is inventing a language and studying. Then you can complain if the world doesn't work out for you. If you're productive, easy to get on with, and you can draw like this, maybe there is a conspiracy. But before then, just be quiet and get better. I'm going to talk now because I kept my mouth shut when I was learning. That's a good bit of advice. When you're learning, I would tell my students, shut up. When you can't tell your students that anymore, it's time to move on. If they want to hear themselves talk and learn from fellow high school graduates, then what are they doing at college? Look at this stuff. Haunted Mansion. Here it is. These are Mark Davis paintings, the famous changing paintings in the stretching room as well. All are Mark Davis paintings. He painted those. I don't mean he designed them. He painted those. More Haunted Mansion sketches by Mark Davis. There's a bat, because Mark Davis can draw and paint anything. More sketches and cartooning by Mark Davis. Now we get into his, quote, fine artwork, his painting, whatever that means, but here you go. Mark Davis paintings, drawings, sketches, designs. Be undeniable is what it's all about. Look at the stuff this cat was doing. He was just exploring whatever he wanted to explore. On and on and on. And these are his Papua New Guinea and Pacific Island sketches. He did on-site sketches. Look at this stuff, man. Look at this. On-site sketches. Paintings and sketches. Incredible stuff. Now, one of the things they decided to do was to show some images of his home. This is the stuff he kept around him to inspire him. A man called Plush, the sun is shining, yes, but the ice is slippery, my friend. You know what I'm talking about. It's amazing my mind still works even remotely. These are all his Valentine cards to his wife, Alice. And what was Alice? According to stereotypes, women back then were not very interesting. They stayed at home. They got married, but their lives ended when they got married and had kids, which, by the way, someone who's married and has kids, absolute malarkey. Absolute malarkey. This is Alice's work. There's Alice. Alice worked as an artist, illustrator, and fashion designer. This is what Alice was able to do. Look at this stuff. Look at how good this is. Now let's add to that. Do you want to know where you've seen Alice's work? Alice designed all of the costumes for the entire It's a Small World ride with Mary Blair, another married woman from that time, and Disney artist. This is what Alice did. She designed, I don't know how many hundreds of costumes. And there's Mark Davis and Alice and a few other people getting their handprints there for the Disney honors, which I'm sure they'll bulldoze over that at some point. You know how it goes. There was talk where Hayao Miyazaki and John Lasseter, you know, the guy they canceled for hugs, apparently. He was interviewing Miyazaki, and they were both talking about, they were both celebrating Mark Davis. That's what the whole purpose of the talk was. So, again, if you want to know how much these people influence me, I'm always going to make note of them, guys. Always going to make note of them. See this? Here's a little interesting fact about the cover to Nosfero's first printing and the art edition, if you haven't got either of those yet. This right here, and this building in the background, is actually architectural references to the Haunted Mansion in Disney World and my love of Mark Davis. Got it? Yep. Tex Avery animator Preston Blair. By the way, Preston Blair was bringing Mary Blair's work into the Disney studios to promote her, to help her get work there. He goes, you got to see what Mary's doing. She's incredible. And Walt fell in love with her work. So yeah, so here's my little nod to all of those great artists and those great, you know, illustrators and people who inspire me. There's so many things in this book. You can see my love for Snow White in this. There's a better look at that painting when you get into the inside cover. Don't worry, Lord Hinson, it's coming for you, I promise. There's a little painting. This is my wife's introduction to the book, which is just one of the most beautiful things ever, by the way. So is she, by the way. And there's a little painting influenced by her, King Kong, and my desire to keep all of them safe Uh, I see myself as just a big ape anyway. But here you go. There's a little bit of a nod to the Snow White staircase there. There's a little bit of a nod to the watercolor gouache history of Walt Disney that I wanted to pay homage to. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to cartoon and tell fairy tales in a way that's an ode to Hammer horror, an ode to Lovecraft, and all of that stuff. Everything I do, whoop, has got influences of that kind of stuff. Do you see what I mean? All of this stuff, that's what it's about. It's trying to create that kind of immaculate reality in storytelling. And I am willing to leave everything on in the ring when I'm doing this artwork. Do you get what I mean? When you back one of my books and you get one of my books, make no doubt if there's something about it you think could be better or isn't good, it's the best I could do. I would never disagree with somebody on that, but it's everything I've got. Nothing less. You see what I mean? So now we're going to come back to this. Let's see if I can tie all these tangents together. The name of this painting is a wink and a nod. It's called Night on Bald Mount. I'll let you draw your own conclusions. But it is influenced by Disney's um, Halloween Treat and Disney's Fantasia, Night on Bald Mountain artwork of the Chernobog that was by another um, amazing artist that Disney brought in as well because he had an eye for great artwork. And so when I sit here to do this and you're seeing all of these references, this is more than just a skull that she's standing on. It's a skull that she's standing on in a bog. And if you look at it, it's, oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. Now you got to hear Wagner when you're looking at this. The skull is tipping into the swamp. I want to have a giant skull, and it's like I want it to be tipping as these hands come out and start grabbing and heading towards her. And it's supposed to be a very evocative painting, a very sexy painting. And that was the thing that I wanted to make sure I had happen in this piece. And if I didn't have an understanding of the materials, this would not be possible. What I'm doing here would not be possible. And it's why I want people to realize that when you back books like mine, you back Springball, you back, Nosfero, and you guys, and a lot of people have reached out to me. I've got one that is, I don't take commissions typically, but if a very, very special patron and fan reaches out and I have the time, I have been known on occasion, on this one occasion, to do commissions for paintings. But those of you guys who support my work, and oh, that just about went. There we go. Just making sure that's on there. Oh my gosh. This is the thing. Well, I'm going to be hanging on to this piece, Admiral. So yeah, this one I'm going to be selling, but the scan of it will definitely be something I'll be sending Andy's way. But the thing about it is that understanding the media, the material. Yep. Oh, yeah. Golgotha or Cavalry, which means the place of the skull, Hebrew and Latin, respectively. Yes, and that is why the Order of Golgotha is the name I gave to the order that Nosfero is lineage and member of. And that's the whole aspect of it. But take a look at this stuff, guys. I mean, there's so much influence in it. The hands coming up and grabbing the skull were influenced by the movie poster to the movie House. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen the movie House, but it is a great poster, and it's a really fun, crazy flick. That's the stuff that's influencing me because we are in the spooky season. We are in the Halloween season. And I want to be doing stuff that is fun. I always say that when I sit down to paint, I'm essentially trying to decorate the paper or the canvas or whatever I'm using as if I'm decorating for Halloween. That's kind of my attitude, is to make things as beautiful as I possibly can, but also make them fun and haunting. Hasu Japanese film. I don't know if I've seen that film, but it sounds interesting. Yeah, I've got mostly Kurosawa stuff is what I do. Yeah, House was not Hasu the Japanese film. House was a 1980s film, I think it was, or late 70s. House was good. House 2 not so much. Yeah, it was just more comedy than it was, but that poster was great. They say Adam's skull was buried at Golgotha and just under. Yep, that's another one. Under Jesus' cross at his time of death, yes, and those are some incredible paintings, by the way. But imagine if you can't. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get back to doing Pizza Live. I think I've just been so frustrated with YouTube making constant claims on everything I'm doing. It just wears you out. It's frustrating, but I'm not gonna let them get me down. Don't worry. Oh yeah, the effing Fever Dream house and House 2. No, yeah, plush, totally. Totally. You know what I'm talking about. House is a classic. Rest in peace. Yeah, George went. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Ding dong, you're dead. Exactly. You guys know these things. So yeah, I love that craftsmanship. So when I see Rick Baker or Rob Bottin's special effects work, it inspires me. When I see Millicent Patrick's design for the Creature of the Black Lagoon that she did, it inspires me. So just remember that too when you're working. The materials and the paint that you use are very important to learn. They are a means, just like learning how to paint the figure. But you've got to actually make sure that you're learning how to do this stuff and you're getting over the initial fear you have of materials. And that's what I want to talk about. And that's what I want to make sure that just give you guys some time in my studio space where you guys can ask me questions, where you guys can kind of see the process and see what it's like, what I've created over, a number of years in terms of, let me move this. I just realized I can't see my own painting because of the camera being in the way. But what I've created in my home that I used to just create in colleges. And then I said, wait a second, why am I doing this? Like when I came back, I'm totally going to knock that off. This is not good. When I basically told them I'm done here and I handed in my letter of resignation, um, I thought to myself after YouTubing for a while, I've got to bring some of that Mr. Rogers neighborhood quality that my classroom always had. Where, you'd come into the room and there were books and there were all these incredible cool things that you could dive into. My studio and office are very much that. And so are my books. That's why I include the making of in the back of my books, is so that you guys can pour over the sketches and see how things work. Do you remember how many colors we were putting down when we started? This was very blue-green. Now look how red-purple it is. I'm probably going to hit it with some cool blues after I'm done with this, because I want to get that reflective quality that you see in the flesh tone. Now, typically when you're painting a figure, the things you want to do are you want to be, I'm practicing my inking on some scans to figure out which tips I'm comfortable with. If you want to practice your inking, past Master Dan, let me give you some advice. And if you're not following my brother Rocky's YouTube channel, he talks about it and he can explain it. It's something I used to do a while ago, is buy yourself some Bristol board, get a scan or a photograph of somebody like Mark Davis's sketches, print it out in non-photo blue, get them to and print it out in blue, however you can do it, and then practice inking over those marks to get the expression of the line and everything like that. It's very meditative. It's very cool. It's a fun process to do, and it doesn't require you to have to imagine a bunch of things, but you get to focus on the expression and how you're moving your hand. And I do hope that your carpal tunnel and everything in your hand has been getting better and better and is doing well, my friend. That's great. I love hearing that you guys are practicing. Yeah, Gary Martin pieces for inspiration inking. Yeah, Gary Martin is he again. I want to say this almost like as a it's just an expression. I want to say he wrote the book on inking, but he actually wrote the book on inking. Yeah, Bristol board in blue. Yes. I used to take my layouts when I was doing traditional ink work, and I would scan my layouts in, adjust them in Photoshop till they were a light blue, and then print them out on my Epson printer, which could handle 2-ply Bristol at that point. And then I would have a light blue, perfect version of my layout on there, and I could work over top of it. Now, what I would likely do if I wanted to really play around and expand what I'm doing, if I wanted to do large scale canvases, I would do a painting this scale, and then I would have it printed out on canvas, which is what I've done for a lot of the prints you see around here. Not the ones I painted, but the other ones, like these right here. Those are printed on canvas, right? There's the trailers for Springball. And I would love to take these, some of my paintings sometimes, print them on canvas and make them work. But you got to be so disciplined. Yeah, Gary's inking book from his CG campaign a few years ago. Yes. Oh, was it great? I have his inking book too. The first printing of it is somewhere here. Where is it? Is it here? Yeah, I know it's here. I just can't see it right now. But yeah, I do have it. But you guys, let me explain to you this thing is, oh, I'm so glad you're doing great, past Master Dan. That's great to hear. Line weights can be tricky. They can be. The main thing is to breathe and pull away from the point. That's the biggest bit of advice I could give. And just, again, if run a lighter over the nib to make sure you get the oils off of it real quick. That'll get rid of those so the ink will flow better. God, I feel all this knowledge that like that I used to teach, it just naturally just starts to fly out of you. But just take a lighter over any new nibs you have, which you probably already know that. And then when you're inking, always move away from the point where you're coming from, and use your whole arm. Don't use your wrist too much. Don't use your carpal tunnel for it. Just move it across. So let me see if I can grab this. I want to show you guys something that happened, or that I did the other day, just to speak to this point of work. One sec, let me grab it. Well, let me move these books or I'm going to trip. One sec. There we go. Some of you guys may know I was working on a Frankenstein painting. Oh my god, it's too big for this. And I was working on it, and yeah, RT Bear is a master. I see that past master, Dan, 100%. And I had worked on the face, and it was fairly realistic and believable. But this is the importance of cartooning, and also having artist colleague friends. So, who was it who was using the white pen? I think it was Aaron Lopresti who had found out about this manga pen that is really great, and a lot of us went and got it to try it out. It's really great, but I found a new use for it. So I was doing this very staid, stiff Frankenstein painting, and I just was looking at it and it was just burning a hole in me. I hated it. This is the importance of cartooning. I just said, forget it, and started scribbling over top of the thing. And that's really what it's about. And I said, I'm going to cartoon it. This figure needs, if I can make this happen here, to be more gestural. Whoa, I'm going to knock this camera over. This figure needs to be more gestural. I want to have an angle on the shoulders. I want to dip his head down. And I want to have him just have his head cocked to the side a little bit so that one of his eyes is more prominent than the other. And I just scribbled right over top of that painting. Because you've got to be willing to, what's the point of doing artwork and just carrying it through when it's not that good? And you know you can paint it well. You know, autumn is here, and so is the male. Yes, indeed. The shadow. Yes. Lingo, partners in peril, and the grim joker. Yes, indeed. I love hearing it. Love hearing it. And yeah, that's how we have to do things. We have to be, if you know you can draw or paint, you're not afraid to do this. You're not precious about it. Now, it doesn't mean you just keep reworking things endlessly, because it's not good. You got to get things done. You got to be able to finish things, and you got to be able to do your own deadlines. Yes. Do you see what I mean? You got it. You got it. Look at the beautiful lines on the Creature from the Black Lagoon design by Millicent Patrick. You know, when I'm doing this stuff, this paper is totally coming off. But when I'm painting and when I'm working and I'm looking at my heroes, I'm always thinking about bringing something beautiful, captivating, interesting. You can even see my NECA, if I can make that work, my NECA Howling action figure over there that I just got recently, because I love having a bipedal werewolf for reference for Greylock. Love that movie too. But I'm influenced by the best stuff that I can get access to. And I love making books here, and I love crowdfunding for what you guys can help me to accomplish, what we can do together in terms of storytelling. So if you have not backed Nosfero, you've not backed Springball, make sure you do. Nosfero is going to be closing really, really soon. I launched that campaign a year ago when I dropped my son off at college, and I still miss that little guy. Big guy. He's taller than me now. I still miss my son like crazy. I miss my daughter like crazy. It was a tough weekend. When you have twins and they go off, it's like you're an empty nester all of a sudden. But I'm so grateful because Ethan launched the Second Chance campaign for Nosfero, the Crypt Walker. I asked him about it when I was with my son down there dropping him off, and I was just feeling so down, and that was so nice. And so now I'm like, we're done. Let's get it done. Let's put it together. Let's make it happen, which I've been working on anyway, but I'm just excited about it. I can work better when my kids aren't here, because when my kids are here, I want to see them and spend time with them as much as I can. It's hard for me to not pay attention to those guys, because I miss them. It's like, 18. You know this. I don't want to go into parent mode here. It's too much. I miss those guys. So but it's a hell of a thing to be able to bring comic books to life here, and to bring comics and artwork to life that is forbidden to do. Forbidden to do. And the biggest thing I wanted to say about this painting, because I said I was going to give you guys a nice set of tips today. And so let's go over those nice set of tips. The biggest one is use heavy body acrylic using water as your medium. You can do so much more with it than most people think acrylics are capable of. That's number one. Secondly, and this is personal for me, I'm not saying it's for everybody. I do not like to draw women from what's the word I'm looking for? A structured figure that I use every single time. So like I don't have a stock woman that I like to draw. I do have a gesture that I do, and I do have a decent understanding of the figure. But when I do a painting, I always believe, I thought you'd like that, Corey. I always believe you should have a model and photo reference. And so one of the sites that I use that's great, and the site I use, and there's nudity on that site, obviously. It's nude models and things like that, and it has a little thing I think you have to click, but either way, just be aware of that. But they have 360-degree turns of models, so you get a pose, and it's 360 turns that you can buy. So I use actual models for this. And sometimes I stretch them out. Sometimes I adjust them. I mean, you have to. You're never going to get the perfect model. But when people talk about understanding anatomy, and something that painters have to really understand and really get to a good place with is this. It's not muscles alone. It's not skeletons alone. It's skin. And when you start to understand skin and fat and bone structure and the way the light works and subsurface scattering, you can't ever again just paint out of your head without feeling like it's really cold and it's fake. Do you know what I mean? And I love artists. That having been said, I love artists like Fred Moore, although I think he drew a lot from women and things like that. And there's some great cartoonists who are great at drawing women. But when I paint women, not when I draw them, I mean, also when I draw them too, but when I paint them in particular, for a painting like this, I want to have photo reference. And I use photo reference. And where I go with it and how I play on it. And by the way, if I could just say something right real quick out there to all of the ladies who may at some point find themselves as art models. Don't get tattoos. They're a nightmare if you're trying to learn how to paint shadows on somebody, because all of a sudden you have these random darks and lights that break up the anatomy. It's so hard to find models that don't have like any tattoos. And they're usually somewhere that's an important interchange that you're trying to get lighting reference for. But anyway, that's just me. No offense if you have tattoos. Excellent. Go for it. But for me, that drives me nuts. It's really difficult to figure things out when somebody's got something at a particular, interchange of the shoulder or whatever. And you're like, I can't see that shoulder blade. But that's the big thing for me, is looking at photo reference and then also being able to, Timmy Mello's agreeing with Corey Landis right there. And the thing about it for me is that you've got to learn how to paint out of your head. Sir is jumping in, but he's jumping in with their thoughts now. But you've got to learn how to paint out of your head too, though. So here's the other part of that is, if you want to learn how to paint, you do have to learn how to paint from paintings. You do have to do master studies. You do have to do that kind of thing. Best book for that is Creative Illustration by Andrew Loomis. Just a fantastic book. You can get a PDF of it online. But she's listening to Wagner. I think is the best way I could say it. Krabby Patty. She's listening to Wagner or watching Fantasia with the Night on Bald Mountain sequence. But you have to understand the lights and darks, as you guys have seen. When I do sketches, and these don't always have photo reference, and actually they don't. But when you're looking at this kind of stuff, I have to understand lights and darks and value. When we were going through Mark Davis's sketchbook, and when you see me doing sketches, painted sketches, I have to understand how to do this stuff out of my head. I can't just be beholden to photo reference all the time, right? And there's certain things that you're not going to find photo reference for. But there was no photo reference used on this page. This was just, me illustrating. But when you want to bring that extra, kick to it, or when I'm doing the sketch for Lloyd Burton's, which he's going to own this sketch as well as the painting. This is stuff that I do. Again, can you guys see where the strength in sketches comes from? When you guys are looking at Mark Davis and you're saying, where's this stuff happening? It's happening here in Comicsgate. It's happening with so many artists with so much skill. Look at Graham Nolan. Look at all of the amazing, cartoonists we have. Watch Ethan draw sometime. Look at Shane's stuff. Look at John's stuff. Look at Bosch's stuff. I'm just trying to think. I'm probably repeating names here. Art T. Bear's stuff. His inks are beautiful. If you haven't checked out Black and White, look at Dale Keown's stuff. It's craziness. Why am I imagining Shanth putting Stretch Armstrong in all those poses? Man, that would be something. right? I think I missed Stretch Armstrong by a little bit, but I was asked to come in and do some concept art for that once. I think it was Mattel, was it, or Hasbro? I can't remember who it was, but I've worked for both. Yeah, all those Loomis books are textbooks. They are the perfect textbooks for learning art, guys. And there's a little spring ball sketch because, you know, you can cartoon a little bit too with gouache and watercolor. You can have fun. But this is the stuff that makes me excited. So when you back the Nosfero Oxidized edition and you get this new cover, you will know that it started out as a gouache sketch because that gouache sketch is somewhere right over here somewhere. But this is the stuff that I was inspired by and what I wanted to do when I got to art school. This is the stuff I tried to teach people when I was teaching at art school. And now that there's nobody there teaching it, they're still using my case studies, I can tell you that much. They just posted one a couple of weeks ago. A student who was colorblind, who I taught how to paint in color. Paint what was there in color. So she's painting color she can't even see. So she can't even see what her own paintings look like. But I was able to get an app on my phone that allowed me to see how she experienced things in terms of color blindness. Taught her how to paint representationally, and now she is doing things that they would absolutely hate. But they have to promote her because they're, in trouble. She paints copies of Disney stuff for the Disney Fine Arts program. She's an official Disney Fine Artist, which means you take Disney subjects and you paint them. And she's making her living that way. So two things they despise, and that just goes to show you skills pay bills. That painting is more amazing every time you show it. Which painting is that? Is it the what painting did I show? I don't even know what I showed. Was it Mark Davis painting, or was it you think, who have I shown today? Let me know, Lord Hinson. Bruce Campbell's channel member. How are you doing? Marvel and DC shunned all those great artists. They sure did. Bruce Campbell. Oh, the commission. Oh, thank you, Lord Hinson. Oh, it was a compliment. Damn it. I didn't see it coming, Lord Hinson. I didn't see it coming. Oh, brother, you caught me off guard. And thank you for being a channel member, all you guys who are channel members. I appreciate it. I see the Spidey eye shape influence on Springball. Absolutely. It's a fun eye designed to draw, to tell you the truth. Oh, yeah. And I'll show you another little trick about Springball since we're talking art. All things art. This is going to be our little classroom hangout. The horror of painting is where we're going to do our stuff. Because it's time that we push back on all of this crazy stuff. You know, and there's a lot of crazy stuff out there, man. Thank you so much. And you take care and have a great rest of the day, my friend. But if I could find something to sketch on, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to find. Oh my gosh, there's an old fulfillment sheet. I've got like all the, I'm not going to flip this over because it's got addresses on it, but here you go. This is all the stuff from the last fulfillment. Here you go. Here's Springball in a nutshell. I studied all of these design motifs. As you guys know, I have my own approach to character design theory that I don't think is necessarily for making characters, but it's definitely interesting, worth looking at. Here's Springball's design. Downward pointing triangle on his top of his head. Then half circle comes around like this. Inside of that inset is another half circle and another half circle for his eyes. Then a mirrored downward pointing triangle that comes from that brow and an upward arc like this that's now resisting against that. Then, much like the scale of justice, his mouth is an arc with two weights on the other side. Mirroring that, you've got an arc that comes around like that. And then you've got, of course, the zip ribbons, as I like to call them, that come off of his head. And that's the key to Springball. That's how he was thought of. And again, more concentric circles to make the lenses of his eyes that are actually his eyes because he's not a human being. So that's actually the face he was designed to have. But that's the key. It's all about distribution of balanced weight. This also kind of looks like, if you look at it, like wings, which was kind of important to me. The wings of the perception, the balance point of the perception. Downward pointing triangle, which is essential in superhero design. There's a lot of that stuff. You know, this is the guy. It may have very well have been the guy. So I'll show you a little trick about superheroes. I used to say that superheroes largely came out of Jewish American immigrants. Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, of course, Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, and all of that sort of stuff. But the thing I said is, and this is more ironic than it is intentional, or not ironic, it's more coincidental than I think it is intentional. But the chief symbol of the Judeo-Christian tradition outside of the cross and the Christ is the Star of David, which is also seen in Buddhism. And I used to tell people that um, that is that's where those two diametric forms happen, right? And someone said, well, where does that happen in comics? And I said, it's really simple. Because they go, aren't all heroes, though? You say downward pointing triangle is negative. Aren't all heroes downward pointing triangles? That's what they teach us in school. And I went, yeah, both those guys are from your city. I know your city, man. Hail. Um, I go, no, it's not a downward pointing triangle. A downward pointing triangle is what the superhero is trying to prevent. That's why his legs are supporting the downward pointing triangle, right? But his aspiration is the cape. You guys see it? That's the kind of stuff that makes for strong characters. People always just have one idea in their head and they can't make it work. It's nuts. You know, they're just like, oh, that's all it is. They find one element of the thing. Superheroes are far more complicated than that. Far more complicated. And really great designers, what they do, they can't explain a formula to. And the formula wasn't used to make him. He works because that's how human beings read symbols. It's a purely species thing. It's got nothing to do. I drew a Patrick. You're right. You're right. And there's another one. There's another one. And that is really funny when you think about it, but it's true. And that's the fun. That's the fun thing for me. Is when I'm drawing and when I'm working at things, I'm always thinking about the sense of design, the sense of play, because you have to be able to draw in order to explore and have that sense of play. And that is a huge part of what I'm doing with Springball. If I can't cartoon, then my drawings will have no life. And if I can't, paint, I can't take my drawings. I always say this is that value, black and white, gives you a sense of mood. You can create good or bad mood. That's what black and white give you. It's the same thing with light and dark, day and night gives you mood. Lighting gives you mood. Color is where you get emotion. You get emotion when you're using color. So you can get the full feeling range with color. And so color becomes so incredibly important in that way. It's why people say things like they're feeling blue or green with envy or all that stuff. That stuff is emotion. And emotion has so much nuance it can have that if your color theory is not very sophisticated, then you're just going to lose a lot of energy. You just embarrassed my stick figure, said Firo. Mind blown. What's up, a man called Plush? Yeah. Well, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that because symbols don't catch on unless they speak to the species. And so someone's got to explain to me why when this is not an appeal to the Campbellian Joseph Campbell all religion. I mean, and I studied Campbell for a lot of years before I came to this opinion. It was very reductive of religion and myth, funny enough, and that's the biggest problem with it. It's worth looking at, but it's a thing. But the Star of David, those two triangles are seen in Buddhism between Siddhartha and his wife. He has an upward pointing triangle. She presents him with a downward pointing triangle, or vice versa. I forget which one it was, but I think he was the upward pointing triangle. You see all of those kinds of things, but the pyramids cinch it for me because they're just giant triangles, but that's enough. You know, we'll travel to see, look at those big triangles. It'll blow your mind. Just like we'll be like, oh my God, I saw the circles. I'm hiding circles right now from you guys. And for that exact reason is why circles are appealing, by the way. I remember you doing a crash course on color theory on one of John's streams. Yes, you could go through that. Could you go through that again? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll absolutely go through that. Yeah, I'll have to do that for another one of these streams we do because I think that would be a blast, to do that kind of thing. What's also crazy is that the S symbol in the Superman is the Hebrew symbol for Lamed El, which is, oh, wow, yeah. Oh, I never thought of that. Yeah, I mean, guys, it's funny too. We always got to separate the artist side of our brain, or I should say the physical artist side of our brain from the intellectualizing, because unfortunately, intellectualism took over art school for the worse. Making artwork is a physical act. But these conversations, these what ifs, these fun things. Um, uh, I have so many funny jokes I can make to that, and I think you caught me before I could get to them in general. Yeah, well, and this is the other aspect of it, right? Um, it's how do I word it? It's so interesting. It's so cool when that we get to sit around and talk about these kinds of things, but we never want to get lost in the conversation. But this is what used to happen in comic shops. This is what should be happening. It should be an idea of what if. So if you can't ask certain questions, like what makes a woman sexy, right? What makes a superhero powerful? What makes a creature evil? And then how do you start making nuance in this? I don't want someone to look at this painting. First, I want them to look at it and say, it's aesthetic. It's beautiful. Then I want them to see the female figure and think it's sexy. But if they stop looking at it at that point, then it wasn't worth painting. I mean, if they stop looking at that point and they want to give me thousands of dollars for it, fine. That's all right. They don't need to understand the whole thing. But what makes it worth painting is all of the things that are going on in this painting outside of just that. It's not a question of either or, it's and also. Embrace the power of and in your artwork and the stuff that you're interested in. Like, I can't say it any fairer than that. Embrace the power of and. When fans saw glimpses of Springball, thanks Rocky, and thanks John for the push. But when they saw Springball, they were like, "Why aren't you doing this?" And I love Nosfero, but I wasn't sure how. And I absolutely love Nosfero. That's a big part of it. But I didn't know if I had like, what am I going to do with this? I'm so focused on Nosfero, and I thought, well, they want me to do it one, and if I'm going to do it, I have to do something that I'm as passionate about as Nosfero, or else I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to try to sell it. Do you know what I mean? John's like, you're welcome. You know, John. You as well, John. And I want to get people excited about artwork. I want people to be excited, you know? I do find it odd that we had multiple deities across the wide world. Oh, shoot, darn, I can't read my glasses. Across the wide world, at the tip of the sword, yes, we got the Abrahamic religions, but not China, India, the defensible places who kept gods. Well, it's interesting. Oh yeah, that skull is my favorite part of the piece. I love that skull. 100% love that skull. Um, Here's what it's about. Whenever oceans come together and whenever people interact, because you still have a lot of those faiths, particularly Christianity, happening in South Korea on occasion, in China before. All of these things go, but the ideas that are the most um, true, in a sense, the ones that resonate with us are not by force, because we've tried a lot by force that doesn't last. You know, I look at the history of Egypt and I'm going, there is no way that wasn't working for those guys. Do you know what I mean? Definitely need a print of that when it's done. Oh, I'm so glad you like it. Yeah, it'll probably be in one of my future art books. My next art book, I already have the title for, but I got to get Nosfero out the door before I even think about something like that. But my next art book is going to be, I already have the name of it, but what was it going to be? Oh, Invictus Veritrex. So all my books have treks in them. So Autonomous Treks, you know, Journeys was my first book. Then Rigor More Treks, which was more artwork. And then I decided that my third book in the series, it's going to close it out, is going to be Invictus Veritrex, which is a play on truth and all of that and overcoming all of the craziness that I was going through with that led me down this road away from academe. And That's right. Yeah, you know, you made her look up with the closed eyes as if she just woke and is stretching. It would add a little bit of suspense as the hands reach up to grab her. And yeah, she's blissfully unaware. Oh yeah, you know, you're right. Um, we'll see where the painting takes me. I never know where these things are going to completely go, even with Nosfero. There are times I'll be going over Nosfero in my head, the story, as I get the second printing ready. Um, and yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, there's elements of that as well. Um, but I was like, did I make sure I wrote that in the story? And then I went and grabbed the book, and I was like, oh yeah, good. I had that in the story because you guys are here when we're developing this stuff, and uh, and yeah, when you see work like this, let people like good artwork. That's all you have to do. And the way you do that is you remove the mechanisms that prevent people from repressing beauty and punishing people for liking beauty, you know? And you're seeing a major backlash and a defense of beauty happening right now in our culture in the Western world. But then there are other places outside of the U.S. that are in it way worse than we are in terms of this stuff. Very repressive, no free speech, all of that kind of stuff you see going on. And I'm very glad. I tell people every single day that we are incredibly lucky that a certain platform was purchased by somebody who allowed certain things to happen, so much so that we take it for granted that things are that it exists now, and it wouldn't have existed back in the day. And I'll keep sharing artwork with you guys and sharing the stuff I do and making comics as long as you guys, will continue to back them and support this channel and have my back. That's how it is. Sir Galahoo, glad to hear from you. I can't even see, my glasses are falling off. As a far more experienced artist on conveying important things about character through their design, it's something I've been doing. What I can do is keep true to my in my own work. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. Great. Yeah. Let the groundskeeper manage the hedges. Stop putting hedges around people's ideas. Yeah, absolutely right. 100%, guys. Yeah, man, and that's really what it's about for me as I do all of this work. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming on this channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to become a channel member, be a channel member. You will get your name in the credits at the end of the show, which I'll be playing in a second. But thank you guys so much for being here today with me. I do think I have, at some point in a little bit, I have an art lesson. Eric Weathers reached out to me for an art lesson. Wanted to know if I could do one today, so I'm going to try to do an art lesson with Eric and get that paintbrush moving and see where we can take that work. It's going to be exciting. But thank you guys so much for being here from the heart of Lovecraft country and the birthplace of American religious liberty. My name is Shanth Enjeti. This is Shanth Enjeti Art. Welcome to the classroom that is the horror of painting, forbidden lessons in art from the heart of Lovecraft country. Thank you guys so much for being here, for supporting the channel, for supporting Nosfero and SPRINGBALL. The link to Nosfero, which will be closing soon if you like painted work, is in the description. As I always like to say, speak easy, stay gold, keep the faith, and peace be with you guys. Give nihilism no quarter, and let's keep kicking butt and taking names. All right, guys. Take care, past Master Dan. Thanks for being here. John, thank you so much. Krabby Patty, thank you so much. Admiral Wackass, thank you so much. Alfonso Riley, thank you so much. John, thank you so much. Sir Galahoot, I got to make sure I pronounce these things right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. You see who else I have here. I got a bunch of people on stream today. Vero, thank you for being here. Seeker of the Moon, thank you for being here. Let me see who else I've got in here. Timmy Mello, of course, my brother, thank you for being here. A Man Called Plush, thank you so much for being here. Let me see. Corey, thank you for being here. Let's see who else I've got. Lord Hinson, of course, thank you for being here, brother. It's great to see Bruce Campbell's channel member. It is great to have you here, my friend, and thank you for being a channel member. Let's see. Tammy, thank you for being here, of course. Who else have I got? Who else am I missing here? I just want to make sure I get as many people as I can. Let's indeed see here. Okay, I think I've got most everybody that I can see. Rocky, my brother, thank you for being here. And guys, if you're a channel member, you're going to see your names in the credits. I will see you guys soon. I am going to go do a face plant, I think, and then do some art lessons, some private art mentoring with Eric Weathers. Mighty Geek Studios, it's great to see you. Hopefully Stan Winston's crew gets a hold of Nosfero. Yeah, that would be fantastic, my friend. That would be fantastic. Yeah, Legacy Effects is crushing it. Appreciate all of you guys. And yeah, stay tuned. There's going to be more fun streams coming your way. All right, here you go, guys. Here are the credits. Take care. I got to say hello to Cranberry Landers, channel member. There you go. Sorry, I keep doing this. It's bad. Take care, Leg Kick 1. It's great to see you guys. You guys, seriously, you know how it is with me. I'll see you guys soon. Now, the credits for real.